As many of you may know, our topic tonight is body fever. How to love your body? Question mark. The question's not resolved yet. And I hope the question is hanging in your mind. Learning to love your body? Is the Swami serious? Or is he having a go at us? Or what? Body fever. How does that play a role in our life? We're going to be discussing a journey. We're going to take you on a journey of body image discovery. And on that journey, we're going to be discussing themes such as body dissatisfaction, body positivity, body neutrality, body gratitude, and body functionality. And for those of you who want to get professionally technical, clinically technical, we'll even briefly touch upon body dysmorphic disorder. I know you know what that is. So anyone who's read Bhagavad Gita, the prime Bhakti Yoga text, understands that from chapter 1, you're taught you're not the body. And this lesson proceeds into chapter 2. Krishna chastises Arjuna for Arjuna's very eloquently presented body consciousness. Now, all over the world, when I discuss body fever, learning to love your body, ? There's often a bit of jitteriness. Sometimes persons get uneasy because consciously or unconsciously, we identify with this body so deeply. And we're afraid that hearing the spiritual science about how we're not the body, how we're different from the body, will threaten our existence because we don't know what to do beyond body fever. Now you might ask, well, Swami, why body fever? Why not just body reality? But bodyism, identifying with the body, and that includes the mind, as the self, is indeed a fever that you catch. It's like a virus. Indeed, it's a pandemic, the one we should most be concerned about. So just like in Australia, the goal is to open up the country with a 80% vaccination rate. What is the vaccine for taking care of, for curing body fever? That is the most deadly virus, as Bhagavad Gita will teach you. The Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, is the certified, tested, and problem-free vaccine for curing the worst pandemic. Bodyism will alternate between that term and body fever. Bodyism seems natural, doesn't it? I mean, we've got this body. We don't know how we acquired it, but it's meant to do things. And sometimes it seems to feel good. And sometimes it gives us pain. But hey, we've got to work with what we've got, right? We've got to be practical. We've got this machine. I mean, some or other, we're all spiritual. Who knows how that is? But anyway, one thing you can be sure of beyond the murky spiritual stuff, one thing you can be sure of is we've got a body and you've got a body. And things happen. That we can be sure of. But the spiritual reality, okay, yeah, I hope it's so. But how do you practically act on the spiritual plane? Hmm. So let's get into our subject by first talking about you looking into the mirror. If you've got a mirror in your room where you are, Tara and Nandan, you have a mirror right there in your palatial quarters. Look in the mirror. Are you happy with what you see in the mirror, or are you unhappy? In other words, are you comfortable in your own skin? Or do you feel there's a problem with your skin covered container? Many psychologists will tell you that it's very difficult. It's actually hard work for most people to be comfortable in their own skin. Because when they look in the mirror, they're not happy with what they see because they're judging their bodily appearance based on what they've seen in the social media or the whatever movies and whatever entertainment they're watching. Next great model or The Bachelor or something. Don't worry, I've never seen them. I just hear about it. So you'd be shocked to know you're not the only one who's feeling this bodyism pressure and discontent when you look in the mirror. So I'm not asking you a philosophical question. I'm just asking for the facts. Do you like the way you look? Oh, wait a minute. Swami, you're getting personal here. You're getting too close to reality. Why don't you talk some lofty philosophy, some esoteric yogic knowledge? No. Do you like what you see in the mirror? Maybe you immediately notice some flaws. Oh, my nose is too big. My stomach is flabby. My legs are weak. My chest is too small or my chest is too big. There's always some problem with the body, right? You're not alone in your discomfort about your own body. Let's beat up on the USA because they take statistics there for everything. In a recent survey of Americans, those crazy people, 55% of women reported some degree of dissatisfaction with at least one part of their body. 55%. The men were a wee bit more tolerant. 42% reported some degree of dissatisfaction. Now, sometimes the dissatisfaction becomes such an extreme, it becomes a serious mental health issue. And I hope that's not the case with any of you. This problematic mental health condition is called, technically, body dysmorphic disorder. That's a syndrome in which people just are so obsessed with their appearance and the faults of their appearance. Mm. Often, the cure for this rampant pandemic of bodyism and negative bodyism. I don't like how my body looks. Often, you're urged to develop a positive body image so that you can have good outcomes, good consequences for your mental and physical well being. Body dissatisfaction seems to be something we should try to root out of our system. But the yoga texts will tell you that as long as you identify with the body as the self, there must be dissatisfaction because you are not the body, and therefore you cannot satisfy yourself by identifying with the body. So your efforts are doomed. But that's okay for most people. They are going to push ahead for body satisfaction. And therefore, they welcome the body fever. You see, the Bhakti Yoga texts explain that when you identify with the body, you leave yourself wide open for a whole sequence of illusions. I am this body, and then everything in relation to my body is mine. Relationships, possessions, family, neighborhood, my people. It's all mine. So this disease is known as I, me, and mine. So you might say, well, isn't that natural? It feels normal. That's why I use the title Body Fever. If you've ever become accustomed to having a fever, you know what I mean. Or let's just take current events. Government leaders are telling us we should just be prepared for COVID to be around, and people are going to catch it and it's going to come and go. So, similarly, this is the attitude we have about bodyism, the body fever. It's what is, and sometimes it hits me real strong, and sometimes not. Sometimes I want to be a bit spiritual, and sometimes not. And so, body fever. Can you remember when you like to get sick? I don't think any of you can. I can remember when I did. As a little boy, 5 or 6 years old, I shared a room with my brother, who's a year and a half younger than me. And so that meant that when one got sick, the other would also get sick. We didn't mind getting a little sick. Why? Because it meant no school. And our mother was a nurse. And so she would just take care of us. And we would just lay in bed, watching TV all day. So when mother told us, you can't go to school today, you have a fever. Oh, we were so happy. I've got the fever. And also having a little fever back then in the 50s meant, I don't know if they still do this, but it meant mother would bring ice cream to bring down the fever. Oh, we were thinking it doesn't get any better than this. No school, laying in bed, watching TV, and mother brings ice cream. Oh, how great it is to have a fever. There's only one problem. If the fever got too high, mother, the nurse, calls the family GP. He comes to pay a house visit, and my brother and I knew what that meant. Injection time. Penicillin in your rump. And we didn't like that. So we were praying to God, being good from a good Christian family. We were praying to God, oh God, let us have a fever, but not too high. So I give you that example because we've become so accustomed to some degree of body fever. Mm. And as soon as we identify, even to a so called small degree, as soon as we identify with the body as the self, we take on predictable and unpredictable factors, influences. You can't sign up for body illusion and not be subject to the whole shebang. But we kind of think that I'll just have a little bit of body fever. I won't dive deeply into it. In other words, I'll just have a little bit of illusion. Mm. There must be body dissatisfaction because you're not the body and therefore it can't satisfy you. It gives you the impression of satisfaction, it gives you the mirage of satisfaction. And we're so desperate for fulfillment materially that we'll take it. We'll take that mirage. Hey, it's better than nothing. It's something. So, what the Bhakti Yoga texts seek to explain to us is that we've settled for an inferior standard of happiness. We've sold ourselves short. Unless we're educated with higher knowledge and we've developed higher experience, this is difficult for us to conceive of, to accept. And that's why when I, all over the world, start talking about the body as an illusion and bodily fulfillment as an illusion, sometimes persons get a bit on edge because, hey, I don't mind trying to be spiritual, but hey, this body stuff is, it's the body fever, it's all we've got. It's all we've got to get us through the day and the night. So let's be honest. Let's take a look at how body imaging plays an enormous role in our life. Yes, we want to be spiritual, but isn't it amazing how much bodyism, the body fever, dominates us? So you might wonder, well, is there a pill I can take to banish body dissatisfaction? How about changing my appearance? Just think what happens when you get a new haircut or you get a new hairstyle. How do you feel? You feel that I've improved my appearance. I've made a better version of myself. And then, of course, when others compliment you, "Oh, how great your new hairstyle looks." Whether you just dyed your hair or you have a new, or you cut it a different way, and that makes you feel good, doesn't it? People notice you. You look better. That latest style looks really good. But then what happens after a couple of weeks? The buzz fades. Everyone gets used to your new haircut, your new hairstyle, and you don't feel special anymore. Maybe you're a guy and you start going to the gym and working out and muscle sculpting and body toning and all that. And people start to notice. So you get a short lived boost to your body image. But what about what Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita? You are not the body, and therefore you'll never be adequately fulfilled by bodyism. Yes, you must take care of your body. You must take care of the machine. We're not advocating body neglect, but the basics of the yoga knowledge are about freeing yourself from the illusion that you're the body and that body indulgence can fulfill you. So we have to think about our own personal values. Those values about the body will influence how we see ourselves and how we see others. Now, everyone has heard the social maxim: don't judge a book by the cover. Beauty is only skin deep. If you're looking for a lover, don't judge a book by the cover. But people talk that, but they don't live like that. We're living in a world that's drowning in appearances, a world that values appearances, body appearances, more than anything. You might meet some person, some prospective significant other, whether temporary or semi permanent. And you may, can you imagine yourself saying something to him or her like, you set my soul on fire? You might use that word soul, but you're thinking in terms of your body and the other person's body. It's all about appearances. Now, we're not recommending you totally ignore your appearance. Otherwise, people would think you're quite strange and eccentric. But how much do you invest in your physical appearance? You'd be shocked at how this is a very important question. People shrug it off. Oh, no, no, I don't worry about how I look. I put on any kind of clothes and I wear my hair any kind of way. And when they talk like that, you should know they're lying. Unless you want to be a hermit living in a cave, you got to be to some degree mindful of your appearance. So the question should be, why should you value your body? Why should you value your body? Or maybe you shouldn't value your body. What's the body meant for? You're breathing. You're bleeding. Some of you are breeding. Why? What is the value of the body? What do you hope to achieve in life with your body? So if you got a mirror there, look in it and ask yourself that question. Why do I value this contraption? And what do I hope to achieve with it? And how do I plan to relate to others? One so-called peace formula for good relations among human beings is this: accept your body and others' bodies as they are, and the world will be a better place. Body acceptance. You look like this, I look like that. Just accept it, embrace that universal truth, and then there'll be world peace. This is very deceptive, because how can there be peace based on illusion? You may want to be open to all kinds of bodies, regardless of gender, ethnicity, this, that, the other. But we're not the body. So as long as you venture into that body world and try to establish peace, you'll be disappointed because you're venturing into pixie land, la la land. But everyone's doing it, right? So it seems so normal. So that peace formula has never worked. You be the body, I'll be the body. Whatever type of bodyism you're into, whatever type of bodyism I'm into, just do your body thing and it'll all work out. No way. I wonder how many of you remember the song Born Free? Maybe not, but it's a beautiful expression of illusion. Since you don't remember it, I'll read you the lyrics. Born free as the wind blows, as free as the grass grows, born free to follow your heart. Live free, and beauty surrounds you. The world still astounds you each time you look at a star. Stay free where no walls divide you. You're free as a roaring tide, so there's no need to hide. Born free to follow your heart. Sounds good. I agree. But it's the essence of illusion, as the yogic science will teach you. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that we're like living in a city of 9 gates. 2 eyes, ears, mouth, and then we have our lower openings for getting rid of bodily waste. So think of all the openings in your body as gates, city gates. And you seem to be the master of the city. But actually, you're like a swimmer dropped in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean. No matter how great a swimmer you are, you're not going to make it to the shore. You're overpowered, you're overwhelmed by wind and waves. So we seem to be the master of our city of 9 gates. But actually, everything is out of our control, except that we made the decision to plop ourselves down in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, in the middle of this body. And it's doing its thing on us. Just like if you're plopped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, you'll be dragged this way, that way, blown this way, that way. Waves will carry you here, waves will carry you there. You made the choice to jump into that ocean. And now the rest is history, so to speak. It's out of your control. The only way you can really benefit yourself is get out of the ocean. And that's what the bhakti yoga process is all about. It's like a helicopter coming along. and throwing you a lifeline, and you grab it and you're hoisted into the helicopter and away you go to safety. But on your own, no matter how expert a swimmer you are, and you can spend your whole life training yourself to be an expert swimmer, but if you're in the middle of the ocean, your expertise is all in vain. So this is our situation, being embedded in the body. We seem to be the master of our fate. We seem to be the captain of our ship, but that's an illusion. And it's an illusion that can only be dealt with effectively by spiritual methods. You have to be given something better in order to let go of that illusion. Otherwise, you'll never do it because bodyism is too strong. Let me read you a key verse from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the graduate study to Bhagavad Gita. And I hope that many of you will have in your home, not simply Bhagavad Gita, but a full set of Srimad Bhagavatam, which takes all the themes of Bhagavad Gita and expands upon them like a spiritual encyclopedia. So this verse tells you crucial information. The human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds, impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. So Srimad Bhagavatam is telling us that the human body brings with it very grave responsibilities. Now, just think about decisions you've made that entail very serious responsibilities. Maybe some of you are parents, and whether you plan to be a parent or not, that children are there is a serious responsibility. Or even those of you who've chosen to marry, a committed relationship, not just by words spoken soon to be broken, but you actually went through some procedure of legal affirmation. And even you may have had a spiritual ceremony also. So all these decisions affect the future significantly, and they're very impactful. But what Srimad Bhagavatam is telling us is that just by our having a human body, we have accepted a grave and serious responsibility. We have this human body, we must become enlightened. So what does this mean about killer of the soul? The Sanskrit terminology is Atma Ha. Atma, many of you know, means the non-material self. Atma Ha means the killer of your non-material self. Now, how can you do that? Doesn't Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita that for the soul, there's never birth nor death? Yes, but you can kill your soul in the sense that you live such a ignorant lifestyle, no matter how flashy, that you're absorbed in total darkness in a death-like state. Death-like because you've ignored your spiritual mission, your spiritual identity, your spiritual needs. So in that sense, you've killed your own soul. Mm. Keep this in mind as we go down our list of ineffective ways for dealing with body fever and bodyism. Sometimes it's recommended you practice body gratitude. What do you think of that? Instead of looking in the mirror, Tara and Nandan, are you looking in the mirror? Instead of looking in the mirror and feeling critical, oh, this spot on my face, getting flabbier. What if you looked in the mirror and felt grateful? Such advocates, those who advocate body gratitude, say you should look in the mirror and focus on the parts of your body that you enjoy. Oh, look at those ears. Yeah, not bad. They're kind of attractive in their own way. As soon as your inner critical voice, as they call it, starts to give you negative thoughts, like, oh, I wish my teeth were whiter, counteract that immediately. I love my hair. So that way you counter that inner critical voice. You're even recommended. I don't recommend this now, but these are the ways of illusion. Create a list of the parts of your body that you like or appreciate. And when you do some daily activity, like what you do every day, you brush your teeth every day. So while you're brushing your teeth, you express gratitude about your body. Oh, I love my stomach, my chest. It really looks good, you know? Yes, these are techniques that are advocated. But if we tell people to please chant the Maha Mantra, oh, very strange. But body gratitude while you're brushing your teeth, oh, my hips. Yeah, I'm really grateful for that. That's okay. So, amidst the body gratitude, you're supposed to focus on functionality, body function. Besides just thinking how the body looks, think about what the body does. Okay, you meditate on my lungs breathe, my legs walk and dance, my mouth sings, all the stuff the body does. And in that way, you start feeling grateful as you concentrate on body functionality. I got to admit, this is really dry. It's hopeful thinking. You can't be satisfied in this way. It's like me telling myself, this wrap that I'm wearing, this shawl, yeah, it's function. It's keeping me warm. Uh, it's wool, so it breathes. It's not synthetic. It's me, it is not me. It's external. So whether I feel grateful or not, it's not me. The shawl is not me. It has some use for me, but it's not me. What about the needs, the real needs of the real me? We still have a few more items to deal with because sometimes you might think body positivity, being upbeat about my body is a bit too much. Is there some other choice that's not as intense, some milder illusion? Yes, we've got it for you. It's called body neutrality. Now, the goal of body positivity is that you feel good about your body. But the goal of body neutrality is to just not really think about your body. Leave it at that. My body looks like the way it looks. It is what it is. And it's just not a big thing for me, especially when you get into your 40s. Body neutrality starts to look appealing. But when you're in your 20s and 30s, probably not. Oh, I want to be ripped. I want to. I want this part of my body to be like steel. But as you get older, I know it will never happen. You won't get older. I assure you, it will not happen. But as you get older, body neutrality starts to look attractive. So you're recommended if you want to try this tonic to think about self-acceptance. Of course, the self is not the body, but you don't know that. So it's a big step for you to say to yourself, okay, I'm a middle-aged man, professor, lecturer, father of two teenagers. No one really cares much about how I look, and I don't care. That's supposed to be a great improvement, body neutrality. But again, you're just coming up with techniques of illusion to deal with illusion. We do need to take care of our body, but we're not the body. Those are the ABCs of spiritual life. We're different from the body. And therefore, we need spiritual techniques to satisfy the non material, the spiritual self. So, the spiritual self is meant to be in cooperation with the Supreme Spirit. That's what goes on the spiritual platform. Cooperation. Be like a spark dancing in the fire. The spark is not the fire. The spark is tiny and the fire is huge. The yoga texts explain that this is an analogy given to teach you that you are of the same quality as Krishna, but not the same quantity. You're tiny, finite, and Krishna is unlimited. So, the perfection of our life, the pinnacle of the yoga system, is cooperation, harmony between the tiny part and the complete whole. That is the ultimate goal of yoga and meditation. So the Maha Mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, is sonic therapy for reviving our dormant cooperation, that cooperation between the tiny part and the unlimited whole. We've forgotten it. So therefore, we're like 4-year-old children wandering around in the city on our own. So much danger is there. Everyone knows, little kid, where's your home? Who are your parents? You'll be taken care of. So we're like that little child who's acting as if he or she is an orphan, roaming the streets alone. And Krishna is inviting us come back, come back. How do we find our way back? I gave you that verse from Srimad Bhagavatam about the human body being compared to a perfectly constructed boat. The purpose of the human body is enlightenment. It's not just to waste your life, waste your time talking about born free as the wind blows. You're stuck in a material situation, which you didn't choose, although it's of your own creation because of your karma. It was dictated to you by nature. But somehow or other, amidst your traveling through the universe in different bodies, sometimes human, sometimes animal, sometimes tree, sometimes fish. When you get a human body, you've won the lottery, so to speak. You've won the biggest prize because the human body can get you out of the cycle of repeated birth and death. So that's why the human body is compared to be a perfectly constructed boat. And a boat needs a captain. So the human body needs a guru. And not only should there be the captain of the ship, the guru, but there should be favorable winds. Because this particular boat analogy means sails, and sails require favorable breezes. So those favorable breezes are the instructions given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. You've got advantages, in other words. You have Krishna's representative. You have the instructions of Krishna. You have the human body, which is designed for enlightenment. If we don't take advantage of all these benefits, if we don't cross the ocean of material existence, then we're considered to be killing our own soul. Living a life in which our real identity, the spirit soul, is so lost to us that it's like we're destroying it, even though it can't be destroyed. Our awareness of it has totally vanished. It seems very difficult. My last point. It seems very difficult to get over body fever. But that's why we have the Maha Mantra, we have Bhagavad Gita, we have the knowledge of a non-material lifestyle. And then you can start to once again glimpse the spiritual plane upon which there is complete cooperation between the tiny part and the complete whole. That is the ultimate meaning of yoga. The very term yoga, as many of you know, means link or connect. But connect with what? Link with what? This is why bhakti is the pinnacle of the yoga ladder and the easiest and ultimate cure to body fever. All right. We want some time for questions. Please ask some questions. Don't be shy.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj.
Hi, Bo.
Yes.
I was just contemplating on the story in the Bhagavatam about Jad Bharat and Maharaj Rahugana. And when Maharaj Rahugana calls Jad Bharat basically skinny, you're not so stout. And the way that Jad Bharat reacts is basically chastises Maharaj Rahugana and gives him the real spiritual knowledge that proves that wrong. But I feel in my situation, if I were to hear something like that, I would basically crumble and be sad, and it would affect me quite deeply. And I'd try to do stuff in my life to perhaps change that view or maybe fix that insecurity. And it seems like in this world, there are a lot of sources similar to Maharaj Rahugana who would say such a thing, whether it be other people, the media, my own mind. How do I kind of get over it, really?
Association makes the process of bhakti manageable. You have to associate with those who will inspire you. Otherwise, yes, we're subject to daily assaults on our higher self. You're living in a misdirected so-called civilization, which is supposedly expert at everything except understanding what is your purpose in life, what is your goal. And because they've missed that most important point, their so-called expertise in doing all their little affairs is failing. Politically, economically, environmentally. So if you miss out on what is the actual goal of human life and human civilization, everything else becomes problematic. For a while, it looks like you're doing okay. But sooner or later, and it's often sooner than later, all the problems that you've set off start to overpower you. And that's what we have going on today. And who can do anything about it? Human beings can't control their mind and senses. They know they're destroying the environment. Most people know that. But their solutions can't be effective because the leaders and the followers can't control their mind and senses. So how to protect yourself living in such a stew? You need empowering association. Empowering association is based on hearing about Krishna, chanting the Maha Mantra, using the senses to please Krishna through devotional service, and then you'll be safe. Otherwise, you're wide open to more illusion. Birds of a feather flock together. The materialists will flock together, and the non-materialists will flock together. That's just the way it is. That distinction will always be there. As Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, the distinction has been there since the beginning of the universe. So you have to be pragmatic and practical and accept what Krishna says in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita. What is day for the awakened transcendentalist is nighttime for the materially absorbed person, and vice versa. They don't agree. So you have to get used to that. They'll never agree. Never on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Anything else?
Maharaj, if I can quickly add something. My name is Mrigank. I just wanted to on that you're welcome to put questions into the chat if you're shy to ask them with your mic. Although I'm sure Maharaj would like it if you do use your mic and your camera to ask the question. And especially if you're here for the first time, we would like to hear if something stood out to you about the chat. You can put it into the chat or you can tell us about it. No, thank you. That's all I wanted to say. So yeah, if you have any questions, do ask either on the chat or with your mic.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj.
Yes.
Back again. Thank you for the wonderful talk. It's something I really need to hear at the moment. I was just reflecting, my body, or this body, it really brings me a lot of suffering, and I find myself lamenting quite a lot about having it, and thinking that maybe if there was just a fresh start, a new body, then maybe this path of Krishna consciousness would be a bit easier. But then I hear Prabhupada saying in his books all the time that the human form of life is a rare gift. And I'm just wondering, how can I cultivate more of that attitude of essentially being grateful for my body looking past its limitations?
Be grateful, as this verse I quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam tells you, be grateful because the human body can award the greatest benefit. It's meant for self-realization, and that you can be grateful for. And no, you don't need to wish you had a different body. Best to work with what you've got, utilize the machine you've got in such a way that, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, upon giving up the present body, material body, you won't take another material body. You'll go to Krishna, the ultimate goal of yoga. So as I pointed out, the human body brings with it grave responsibilities. We've been trained to be so frivolous with our body. And we're bought off so easily with little gratifications, little bodily thrills, like offering a little candy cane to a child. Hey, look at candy cane. And the child thinks, I've got the greatest benediction, the greatest gift in life. I've got a candy cane. We're like that. Adults are very childish, in case you haven't noticed. Little kids can't control their senses, and neither can the adults. So meditate on the profound spiritual value of having a human body. And if you're smart, you want to act in such a way that you don't get another material body. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. He spoke of bodyism and obviously body fever. And because my body, I'm accustomed, I'm illusioned to thinking that my body is going to give me pleasure. And obviously it gives me pleasure at times. But the yoga text also stress on the mind, how mind is also a part of the body. And a lot of times I may fantasize on my mind, or there's a certain philosophy I live my life with. And the yoga text said that pleasure of the mind is of a higher quality than what the body experiences. I've always kind of found that a bit, just can't relate to it. How is the mind, which is, my body, for example, if I want to have an ice cream, I'm just going to grab something and have an ice cream. My mind, how are the pleasures of the mind considered to be of a higher dimension? And obviously there's bodyism, there's mindism.
The mind is material, and it has less restrictions than the physiology the body has. Just like the fact is, most of the pleasure of eating ice cream that you mentioned is in the mind. Behavioral scientists will tell you that. You start contemplating ice cream, ice cream. Oh, I can just visualize how it's going to taste. Ice cream, ice cream. So you work yourself into a tizzy, consciously or unconsciously, before you start eating the ice cream. And then once you start tasting the ice cream, of course, your tongue is involved. But the mind has played such a major role in anticipating. So much of material so-called happiness is about anticipation. Oh, this is going to be good. Oh, yes, it's going to be better than the last time. Ah, I can just see it now. I can just feel it now. So you've got all these visions in your mind. You've seen stuff in the movies. You've seen stuff on social media. And whether you admit it or not, it's all packed into your consciousness in the form of expectations. So you got all that going on in your mind, which is the main thing. It's more impactful than even what your tongue is doing with the ice cream. But the main thing is what's going on in your head. Yeah, people told me this is going to be great. I believe it. I think it's great. Yeah, yeah. That's more powerful than and how much ice cream can your tongue send down to your belly before you get tired of it? And then what does your mind tell you? You need another flavor. Yeah, that's it. Another flavor. But I don't have any more money. That's okay. You need to work harder. Get a promotion at your job, and then you can have more flavors. So in this way, your mind just leads you on and on and on. And then you're hearing about others. They tell you, if you really want to enjoy your ice cream, you do it like this. Everyone is enjoying ice cream. You take all that into your mind. You keep trying. You keep trying because of what's in your mind. Your mind is driving you onward, making you struggle with your senses. Therefore, if you fill the mind with the sound of the Maha Mantra, you can be rescued from this ocean that very few get out of. Very good question. I see in the chat, with the process of birth and death, if we are successful in not coming back as another body, where does our soul go? We're moving from grade school to the uni. First, understand we're different from the body and that we're unnecessarily changing from one body to another, one lifetime to another. Where do we go if we do not take another material body? What does Krishna mean when he says, you come to me? It means just like there is the material world, which is the place of material bodies and minds, there's also the non-material world, which is the homeland of the non-material self in pure relationship with the Supreme Self, in a relationship of the love supreme. Once you clear out the body illusion, then you can start understanding what is the superior situation, the superior pleasure, the superior satisfaction. What are the activities of the spirit soul in perfection? How does the spiritual spark dance in the spiritual fire? How does the spark dance with the fire in a relationship of pure love? This is where the bhakti knowledge is taking you. Because unless there is a superior experience, you're not going to give up the inferior experience. So how do we start verifying all this transcendental knowledge, non-material knowledge? Through hearing about Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna. You get access to these non-material dimensions. Otherwise, who can proceed in their spiritual development? Just based on knowledge of, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. That's grade school, and grade school is necessary. But you're asking about what's beyond grade school, what's happening at the uni. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita will prepare you for Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam takes all the themes of Bhagavad Gita and expands upon them. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about do everything for me, think of me. Who is that me? You find all about that in Srimad Bhagavatam. You find out about the activities, the qualities, the form of that me, that Krishna. And what Krishna has in mind when Krishna says, come to me. What are you going to do? Otherwise, without that kind of knowledge, you're not attracted for going to a higher level. I remember my mother's favorite missionary. He was considered the greatest Protestant missionary of the 20th century. I won't mention his name, not important. But I remember as a little kid reading his statement about his aspiration. He wrote that when I get to heaven, I'm going to drive a yellow Cadillac on gold brick roads. And I'm going to go to parties hosted by heavenly angels. That's what heaven is all about. A yellow Cadillac driving on golden brick roads, heading to parties hosted by angels. Doing what? Serving you heavenly champagne or something. In the absence of knowledge of how Krishna is unlimitedly attractive and how Krishna relates to his devotees, absent that knowledge, we just speculate all kinds of material things. I'll be driving a yellow Cadillac. So yes, we should prepare our knowledge, prepare our lifestyle for reaping the full benefit of the bhakti knowledge. Any last questions?
Hare Krishna, Devamrita Swami.
Yes,
Lovely to see you again.
you too.
I have a question. So sometimes I find myself getting sensitive, or I guess sensitive is the right word, to outside judgment. But on the contrary, I've also learned recently, I think it's best to use like everything that I am in service of Krishna. And that's the best way to purify myself in this lifetime and to, I guess, be an instrument for Krishna. Do you think that's the right mindset to have, to utilize, anything I am, or even any struggles I've been through, towards a service for Krishna?
Well, you first spoke of outside judgment. What exactly are you meaning by that?
Well, I feel like the material world, is just like that. You get judged for your age, your gender, your skin color, your wealth or lack of, or beauty or lack of, et cetera, et cetera. So I've found myself utilizing it as a tool throughout life to try and work it towards my favor in the right situations. And I don't want to get entangled in that, I guess. And the way I like to, I guess, the way my mind views it now is to just utilize everything that I am in Krishna's service, and just to remember that I don't own any of it, no matter what it is.
Yes, whatever you have using Krishna's servants, your talents, your skills, your resources. The yoga texts, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, tell us pranar artar dia vacha. That Sanskrit means you offer to Krishna prana, your life itself. Artar, your wealth. Dia, your intelligence. Vacha, your words. If you can offer all those, great. Otherwise, at least 1 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4. As far as dealing with the world of appearances, that's something you have to tolerate. How can you expect anything different from people? They don't know anything else. They look at you as if you're the body. They're thinking, what can this body do for me? That's just the way the material world is. Is this body having potential for me in some kind of way, or is this body not? Will this body I'm looking at help me achieve my goals, or will this body I'm looking at impede or interfere with my goals? So even people start relationships that seem to be favorable will work together in attracting happiness and beating off distress together. It starts out favorable, but sooner or later, the reality reveals itself. What are you doing for me? How much are you doing for me? It's all about me. So this is the way of the material world. And seeing it through the eyes of knowledge, you learn how to deal with that. How can you expect anything different when people have no higher knowledge, no higher lifestyle? So they are going to look at you in that way. They are going to look at you like, oh, Natasha, well, what's in it for me? How can she be utilized for my purposes? All in the name of love. That's what goes on. Everyone's in predator consciousness, in case you haven't noticed. They have to act that way because they're under the spell of material nature. but you should be on a different level. And that way, not only can you help yourself, but you'll be able to help others. Be the change that you want to see in others. That's the greatest compassion, the greatest love. All right. We have someone on chat asking if they can put forth a last question. So is that person going to do it by chat or sing out?
Hare Krishna,
Hi,
Prabhu.
Miraj.
Thank you for your time. I just had a follow-up question regarding what Natasha already asked. It's more inclined towards if I'm looking things positively and not worrying about negative stuff in my life, is it really beneficial for my growth, or should I keep also an approach which will help me keep me balanced, or like usually I tend to have more outgoing attitude where whatever happens, I'll keep a positive attitude. So most of the things I feel that are happening good for me. So I feel less, less negative or less down, or I don't feel stressed. So most of the times, it doesn't mean that I'm always at my best, but I keep my forward thinking, keeping that, okay, this will give me some good lesson. So now, so my question was, how can I, is it really good to be that way, or can you even, is okay to have certain negative aspect approach to life in a way that will boost you up for something better in life?
Be positive about your spiritual potential and be realistically negative about the material illusion. Remember the example of the ocean. Material existence is like an ocean, and you're plopped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. No matter how positive you are about your swimming skills, you're not going to make it to the shore. You have to be plucked out of the ocean. So be positive about your spiritual potential. But as for your material potential, it can't last, right? You'll lose it all. So why not use this temporary human body for what it's meant for? That is real positivism, positivity.
Thank you.
All right. So I thank you all for your kind association. And I'm looking forward to when I can cross the ditch and see you all face to face. I thank you for this opportunity.